going on, you guys, and welcome to Repair, Revive, Repeat. So glad that you guys can make it. Today we're going to be working on the DBX sub that I did in my last video. It is a 15-inch subwoofer, and we're going to be doing a custom plate amp install on this thing. I can't wait to see how it looks. I can't wait to hear how it sounds. This sub is about 250 watts. The plate amp that I have is about 120 to 150 watts, so it should be an okay pairing. I would like something a little bit more powerful, but it's what I have. It is a KLH plate amp, so it should be perfectly fine. But if you didn't see the last video, go ahead and check it out. That'll kind of keep you up to date on exactly what it is that's going on right now. I can't wait to get into this. Go ahead and stick with me. We will definitely be on one heck of an adventure today. This is going to be a fun one. All right, so this is our sub box right here. It does have a 15-inch sub. It's a down-firing sub. What I intend on doing is cutting this guy out right here. Well, not cutting this out. We're going to unscrew this, take measurements for this guy, cut out a nice little hole right here, and install this into it. So I think this is going to be a great pairing. I think it's going to sound amazing. I can't wait to get it finished and hooked up and see what it sounds like. This will be going into my personal collection. As stated in my previous video, again, go ahead and check that out. This belonged to my dad. It's been sitting for about 10 years. We got it restored yesterday, got it all nice and pretty. Did full testing, made sure it worked. And I think that this is going to be a great candidate to accept this plate amplifier. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and just dive into this, and I'm going to start getting stuff apart here. And hopefully this turns out how I am envisioning it. Can only hope and pray. Alright, so this should be pretty straightforward. I'm hoping that I can just pull this guy out right here. I'm going to want the plate amp to sit slightly off to the side. So I'm going to start my cut starting right here. Come over about maybe 4.5, 5 inches. It's going to go up about 7 inches back, probably about 6 inches, maybe 7, and then back down to where it meets up with the screw holes right here. Ideally, this is going to be an awesome pairing. This is going to be a very fun project. I've been wanting to do this for a very long time, and I'm excited to actually be able to finally get into this. So hopefully there's not too much involved, but you never know, right? All right, so first things first, let's go ahead and get this out of here. Ooh, it looks like she's kind of glued in there a little bit. So we're going to go ahead with my razor blade very gently, very carefully, and just kind of break that seal a little bit. I do not recommend that you do this, but for me, this is what works. And it was that easy. So it does look like it has a crossover in here. Go ahead and just get all this on out of here. So this is a dual voice coil speaker. In order to keep the ohms correct for the plate amp, I'm going to go ahead and only use one of the coils. And I've already tested it. It does sound fine running off a single coil. So it should be just fine. This voice coil will be repurposed for something else. If not, I will at least hold on to it for sake of keeping it out of the landfill. I'm a hoarder like that. What can I say? This voice coil will be taped off and just kind of stuck aside. I don't want it like potentially being able to fall into the basket and be vibrating on the speaker, but this is the channel in which we'll be using. So in single voice coil mode, it will run at about 4 ohms, and this plate amp is 4 ohms stable, so it's kind of what I'm going for here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure out this part right here of the plate amp, and I will mark my lines and we will go ahead and start cutting. So just like that, got her on her back, and we will go ahead and take measurements. Alright you guys, so ran into our first issue here, and I will take you over here to have a look. So if you look in there, you can see the sub is going to be in the way if I were to cut right here. So what I did is I made an outline right here of where I'm going to place my cuts, and that is going to be where the plate amp is actually installed. So I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to film the cutting process, because that's going to take some time. And it's going to be quite messy. So I'm going to want to be kind of attentive to that and make sure I'm following the correct lines. And then we will go from there. Alright you guys, so this is what I got for you. And this is turning into quite a botched situation here. Unfortunately, when I started my first cut, my blade immediately broke, and I do not have a backup blade. So what I had to do was go ahead and drill a bunch of holes. So I'm hoping that I can take a rubber mallet here and gently pound this thing out and pray to God that it works. None of this is going to actually show, since the plate amp is going to be sitting in here, so it's not really that big of a deal. But I mean, it worked better than I thought it was going to. So I just took a drill, drilled a bunch of holes super close together, and we're going to hope that this pounds out nice and easy. I will be going ahead and taking back the original piece right here and putting it back in, and that'll make sure this thing is sealed up. Once I do get this pounded out, I'm going to go ahead and take some hot glue, go ahead and line the whole cutout right here, stick that plate amp in there, get her all nice and wired up and ready to go, and we will go ahead and test it, make sure it's all good, which I have a feeling it's going to be. And yeah, this should be a done deal. Alright, so I got the hole cut out. Like I said, this is a completely botched project. I feel so bad having to do it the way that I did, but I think I got it to the point where it's going to fit. So I got my plate amp right over here. I did take off the back panel. I want this thing to be able to stay as cool as possible, and with that plastic panel that was on the rear, it's just going to hold in a lot of that heat. So we're going to go ahead and see if it fits. Oop, going in upside down there. And look at that. Snug as a bug on a rug. This thing fit in there perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get some hot glue, run it underneath, try and get it as sealed as possible, and get this thing screwed on there. Alright, so we got my trusty dusty hot glue gun. We're going to go ahead and get this thing glued in here. Just going to follow the edges. Alright, definitely want to be fast with this part because it does like to dry rather quickly. Alright, got my trusty dusty screws. Go ahead and start getting this thing screwed back down. Alright. Alright, so that is it. She is in. Now, just got to go ahead and hook up the wires. Alright, so we got our speaker wire right here. And we've got our plate amp wire right here. Go ahead and strip these back a little bit, wire them together, and tape them. So we got our red is positive on this plate amp, white is positive. Just go ahead and twist them on together. Next up, it's going to be black to black. Then we go ahead and just tape them on up. We got somebody who wants to say hi. There's my girl right there. Her name is June. She's 6 years old. She loves her pets. You're a good girl. Yes, you are. I love you. So, Junebug is a Border Collie Lab mix. Super smart, super sweet. Love her like my own kid. Alright, so we got those nice and taped up. So I'm going to go ahead and take a couple pieces of tape and tape those wires up so it doesn't end up inside the speaker when it's thumping. I am using heavy duty Scotch tape. I do not have any more black tape, unfortunately. And where I live right now, there are no stores open, so I'm kind of SOL. This tape is super sticky, super strong. Should be more than enough to hold this where I need it to be. Get one more piece in there. And when I come back to you guys, this hole will be filled in and we will go ahead and give it a test. All right, so we got her all hooked up. Got her hooked up to my Harman Kardon AVR 30. Plate amp is in. Hole is no longer a hole. We'll go ahead and see how this thing sounds. Fingers crossed. Headphone warning. And that is another one, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Love doing this. It's been a freaking awesome day. Hope everybody else is having an awesome day. Stay safe in the world. I'll catch you all in the next one.